Hello, hello, hello. Mary, independent advisor for creative memories, and with scrapbooking. That is my own personal website. So today we're going to talk about trimmers. Creative Memories has several different trimmers, and I'm going to go over all of them with you, a little bit of the features of each one, how to use each one. But these are some of the basic tools. If you are doing any kind of paper crafting, card making, scrapbooking, anything like that, you're going to want a decent trimmer. And the trimmers that I'm going to show you here today all have their own unique purposes and their own unique features. And so that's what I'm going to go over with you today. And I apologize if my dogs are going crazy in the background. So this is our Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer. This is our Creative Memories 12-inch decorative trimmer. And this is our Creative Memories personal trimmer. And so I'll go over each one. I'll put these others aside real quick until we get to those. And we'll go over the Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer first. So lots of different features on this. This is our most recommended, highly used trimmers that we offer and that I use. I cannot tell you a time that I have scrapbooked and not used this trimmer. So this trimmer has the arm that goes out to 16¼ inches. So a lot of your other trimmers that you can get in your local craft stores or with other tools or, wherever you get them, they usually only go out to about 15 to 15¼ inches. Some of them only go out to 12. So this one goes out to 16¼ So a lot of work room. And then on the other side, you also have a good 2 inches out that way, so you can kind of measure your paper either way you want. It has this removable guide here. And so this is your cutting mat for your blades. And it has 2 different sides. So you'll see a 1 and then a 2, a 3, and a 4. The reason for that is that this dotted line here is the line that your blade is going to cut on. And when you cut over and over and over and over and over again, it does thousands of cuts before it gets worn out, as long as you're using it properly. When that gets worn out, you simply take it so it comes with the 1 in the spot. You can see how easily it just goes right back in, and it's just flat as can be. But you just take this out, and then you're going to flip it around so that the 2 is up here at the top. And then you just push it down into that groove so that it's nice and flat. Okay, and then when that's done, you flip it over and up to where the 3 is here. Then when you flip it to the 4, you know that you need to buy a replacement mat so that it's here in time to replace when your 4 gets worn out. So that mat will last you quite a long time before you have to replace it. I'm going to switch this back to my 1 real quick before we get started, just so that I'm not using a new strip yet. Okay. On this, you also have different guidelines for your most traditional cuts. So if you're making triangles for your corners, you're going to use this 45-degree angle so that you line your paper up there, and then you put it on the thing and you cut the straight edge. So you'll have a straight edge here, a straight edge here, and then your 45-degree angle. So when you cut it here, you're going to rotate it, put it on the 45-inch, and then bring it down and cut it. That'll give you your triangle pieces. 4x6 is your traditional photo size. So if you're just trimming a little bit off your photos and you need a mat to go with that, you can easily line your paper right up with this grid, and then you'll cut a 4x6 mat. Same thing here with your 4.5 by 6.5, so that you have a little bit of mat around your 4x6 photo if you keep it exactly how it was. Your 5x7s and your 3x3s. Those are the most traditional cuts, the most common cuts that people make. And so those guides are right there for you. You'll also notice that the grid lines are clearly marked throughout the whole thing. So whether you put a paper here in the middle, whether you put it up here at the top or the bottom, you'll see that these are at each 1/4 inch mark. So you'll have 1 inch, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2 inches, and all the way up to your 5 inches. Okay, the very edge of your trimmer is at 5 1/2 inches. You have your metal flap so that it has this little, it's not an adhesive, it's like a rubber grip. And so this will help hold your paper still from moving while you trim it. Then you have your housing cartridge for your blades. It's right now has the straight blade in there. This can go in either way, you know, so it doesn't matter which way you put it in there, it'll go in flat. And then this keeps it so that it's completely safe. There is no blade here to cut my finger like there is on other kind of trimmers that you can find. This blade does not come out until it is down and you push and pull as you cut. That's safe so that kids of any age that are scrapbooking can use this, and you don't have to worry about them getting their fingers, you know, as they're loading their paper in, they go like that and they scratch their finger and cut it. You're not going to have that with this. You'll also see that this line here on the outside of both edges of your housing cartridge, when you want to cut something like a frame from inside of your mat or your paper, this will be really good to line up and see where you're cutting, so that if you're up here with the edge of your paper here and you want to start cutting at 1 inch, right, you make sure that that line matches up to the line you want, and then you push and you cut to wherever you're going to come down here. And I'll show you that here in just a second, but I wanted to just kind of show you those features. The housing cartridge flips open so that you can take the blade out and exchange it with other blades. You can buy additional replacement straight blades. You can also buy additional blades that do different things. And the nice thing about these is that they all store on the back side of your trimmer. So you're never going to have to try and find those or remember where you put them. They're all right here. And so what I can do is say, okay, I don't need this straight one right here. Here again, as I'm sliding it in to store it, I'm not cutting my fingers because there is no blade sticking out for me. So I'm going to put that one here, and then I can pull my next one out by just sliding it and then popping it out. Again, no blade until I push down. So I'll also show you each of these blades and what they do. There are 6 different blades that you can buy in addition to the straight blades, which is the most traditional one used. There's a scoring blade, which is great for card making. It basically scores wherever you need it so that you can easily take your paper out and fold it easily. Your perforating blade, which is going to give you something like if you were making a coupon booklet or a stationery pad or something like that, you could perforate the edge so that it easily rips off when you go to use it. Your stamping decorative cut, your scallop decorative cut, a Decals decorative cut, and a Victorian decorative cut. So I will show you all of those and what they look like as you use them. We're going to start with our straight blade. So I'm going to take that back out. Again, it's just super easy. You pop that up and pop that in. Close your housing unit. Put it either at the top or the bottom of your handle so that you can start cutting. So to do that, you just take whatever cardstock or decorative paper that you have, and you're going to flip this handle up, and then you're going to lay your paper down. Again, you want the edge. If you're like this, it's going to be crooked cut. So you want to make sure that it's straight against this edge here, straight against this edge here. Or if you had a smaller piece, you'd want to make sure that it was straight against the lines that you have on your grid to measure. Okay, so once you get that in wherever you're going to cut it from, let's say that I want to do a 3-inch strip or a 3-inch mat. I'm going to line it up to that number 3, and I can see that 3 line go all the way down. So I'm going to make sure that my paper is up against this edge, and then it should be straight against that line all the way down. When I have it lined up, flip this down. You can see that it holds that paper from moving, and then you're just going to push down and pull all the way down. Okay, I usually like to go back up just to make sure I was pushing all the way. If you don't want to, that's fine. You can try and pull this out. It didn't come out easily, so I didn't cut all the way through. So I'm going to do it just one more time just to make sure. And then you can see how easily that comes out without even lifting the arm. And that's as simple as it is. Okay, so to do the other blades, I will show you. And I'm going to cut one more real quick. This is an 8.5 by 11. Oops. And I want to make a card. So to make a card is super easy, because you just take your long edge and you find that 5.5 mark, which is right at the edge of your trimmer. So I'm going to line that up right there with my trimmer. Put this down, and then I'm going to push down and come all the way through. Now I can see that it went all the way through, so I don't have to go back up again. Now I have my card base, but I want to make sure that I can fold it easily without having to refold and have 2 or 3 creases here in the middle. So to do that, I'm going to take my straight blade out, flip it over, put my straight blade here so that I don't lose it. And then I'm going to take my scoring blade, flip that over, put my scoring blade inside the housing unit, and put it down. And again, it doesn't matter if this writing, there's writing on one side and not on the other. It doesn't matter if the writing is to your left or to your right. Really doesn't matter which way it goes. Okay, you just want to make sure it's all the way in there. It won't go further than it needs to. Okay, and then you close that. Then I'm going to take this card base and I'm going to line it up with the long edge now up against my top, and I'm going to put it at 4 1/4. 4 1/4 is exactly halfway in between my 8.5 mark of how big my page was. So if I do that, then I'm just going to take my scoring blade. Again, you're going to push down. With all the blades, you're doing that the same way. You're pushing down, and then you're going to just run it across your paper. Okay, so I'm going to push it down and roll across it a couple of times. I like to do it a couple of times. If you put a little more pressure, it'll do it probably just once. One thing I will say is that if it's decorative paper or thinner paper, if you put too much pressure with your scoring blade, it will actually cut the paper in half. Even though there's no real blade, it's just a scoring blade. It'll do that on really thin paper. So just be careful with that when you're using decorative paper. For the cardstock, you can push the same amount of pressure that you do to cut through a paper. And then you can see that line, hopefully. And that's my fold line. Now I can just go like this, and very easily it folds it for me exactly how I need it to, so that I can decorate my card. And I didn't have to make 4 different folds to get it perfect. I didn't have to line it up here. It was just perfectly measured right in the center, and then you score it and fold it. Okay, you can do that with different techniques in scrapbooking as well. If you're folding things and putting, you know, double-sided things on your scrapbook page and you want to fold them exactly in the middle, you can do that with this blade as well. Okay, so that's our scoring blade. Now I'm going to show you our perforating blade. And so typically what I do with this is I do, like, you know, Mother's Day coupons or birthday coupons or Father's Day coupons or things like that. And so I usually print the coupons out on copy paper, come out, trim them with my straight blade, and then I can take the top 1/2 inch or so and perforate that top. You can do it with notepads as well. And so I'm just going to take a quick sheet of copy paper. This is my just regular copy paper. And so if I had my coupons or whatever on here, I would just put it to wherever. So, like, let's say that this says coupon. Okay, so I've got 4 coupons here. Now, I can go ahead and trim all of those coupons, or I can just take it and run it through and do my perforating one time and then go trim them and then put them all together. You can do it whichever way works for you. Since I'm just going to show this, and this is not really a coupon book, I'm just going to show you real quick how this blade works. And so you put that down, and I want to go the whole length. So I can start here, I can start at the bottom wherever I want, and I'm going to push down and just go through like I do every other thing. Okay. Now, what it has done is it has made this perforated cut. Okay, so it's still attached, and we want it to be attached because if it's a coupon or a stationery booklet, you're going to have this extra ½ inch that you're going to trim off so that you can put that and staple that into your cover. Okay, but then if I took my straight edge trimmer or my straight edge blade, I could then cut it here. When it's stapled into my book, this part is going to stay in my base. This is the part I'm going to rip off, and it rips off very easily. So let's just say that it's in the base. I just take this, and just like that, my coupons, my raffle tickets, whatever it is that I needed to be able to rip off easily are right there, easily ripped out of whatever I have them in. Okay, so that's our perforating blade. Now we're going to go to our stamping, and then our scallop, our decal, and our Victorian. All 4 of these are just a decorative cut that when you cut the edge of your paper, you're going to get that decorative cut like you would with a pair of decorative scissors, except it's going to be a straight cut. You don't have to worry about with your hands trying to get that decorative cut all the way down your paper. You can do it just simply with one little turn of this blade. Okay, so I'll put my stamping blade in, and then let's bring our blue back over here, and if I do this right at 2, the wonderful thing about these decorative blades is that if you took your straight edge afterwards and cut another strip, you're going to have 2 of them. Or if you have a strip like this and you cut it directly down the center, you're going to have 2 automatically done with that same border. And you can put that at the top or the bottom or the left and the right of your pages, and you've automatically got a top and bottom border for your page. So I'm not going to do it exactly in the center because I want to show you the other cuts as well. And so we're going to go right there to about 2.5. I'm going to go down. Again, you're just pushing down. And if you wanted to go over it again just to make sure, you can. And then you can see that's how that one cuts. Okay, so that's your stamping blade. Okay, now we'll show the other blades. Here is the scallop blade. Okay, again, we're just switching that out. And let's do it on this side. Okay. Okay. And there's your scallop blade. Now on this side, it did the scallops this way. On your other side, it does the scallops this way. But the good thing is that you can use either side of that cut to then cut your strip out to put it on your page. Okay. Almost done with all of our different blades. This one is our decal blade. And they're all different colors, so it's easy to kind of just see at a glance which blade you want. I'm not actually going to use that one. Okay. and now you can see the two different edges here of our deco blade. So you have one that has the notches in and one that has the notches out. Okay. But see how quickly and easy that would have been. So much longer with a pair of decorative scissors trying to do that. And this way I get them completely straight, and then I can add stickers, or I can add, you know, titling or journaling or pictures on the edges of them, or whatever I want to do. Okay, and now we have our Victorian one. The last of our decorative. Let's get a new sheet just so you can see it clearer. Okay, let's go to about an inch. Okay. And you can slide it right out if it comes out easy, or you can just lift that blade up and take them out. But now you can see the difference in the Victorian trimmer blade. Okay. So super simple, easy, and you get a variety of different cuts with just a few blades and one trimmer. Okay. So I'm going to put that back on, and you can do the same if you were doing that Victorian blade for a 4x6 mat, right? So let's just show that real quick, right? So we've already cut our Victorian blade here. So let's take that back out. And it just gives a different dimension to your mats than just a straight cut. And again, this is not something you can get with any other trimmers that you just buy, you know, you're just going to get straight cuts with those. But now let's say that I want to go 3 inches down. Okay, so I'm going to take the edge notch of my 3-inch. Now I could also go over the 3-inch and make sure I cover it. If I wanted to go a little bit more, you could do that. Okay. And then I'm going to cut this side. And now I can take that 3-inch, and here's my 3x3. And so I can put that right there on that line, right there with that groove. And it matches up here with my 3. I'm going to go a little bit more because I want to be able to do this edge too. And so let's actually just do that first. Okay. So even though it's groove cut, my notches are hitting that edge, and so it's going to keep it straight for me. Okay. And then we're going to flip that around and put that on our 3-inch by 3-inch mark. And we'll cut again. And now I have a 3-inch by 3-inch mat that I can put my photo on. And I've got that decorative cut all the way around my mat, or my journaling square, or whatever. Okay. Now, if I wanted to make a triangle, okay, with my 45°, and that's the same that you're going to use for these other group, the other marked cuts. Okay, so we're going to use my straight edge. And this one also has the rubber grips to keep it steady on your table. It also has, when you extend the arm, you have this little leg here. It does have the grooves, but you'll see this little notch here so that it goes in nice where you've got your blades stored. So you just pop this out. Come on. Okay. And then you've got that stand for your extension arm so that it doesn't go down, and you get that even cut all the way across. Okay. All right, so we're gonna put our straight edge blade back in our housing cartridge. I always like to do that when I'm done cutting and using it anyway, because when I go to use it again, I'm probably gonna want my straight blade and not something else. And so sometimes I forget to check it because I assume that my straight blade is in there. So I always like to put that in there at the end of whatever I'm doing. So let's say I want to make a 3-inch triangle. So I'm going to cut my 3-inch square, or I can go to 4-inch. 4-inch is usually what I do for my corners, but I've done 5-inch, I've done 6-inch, I've done, you know, 3-inch, 2-inch, whatever size triangles you want. But what you're going to do is cut the square first. Okay, and so here I already have my decorative border again. So I got lots of borders now for my pages. And then I'm going to turn this and cut another 4-inch off so that it's a 4x4 square. You want it to be an even square when you're doing your triangles. And so 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. If you were doing 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, then what you're going to do is line it up on your 45-degree angle mark. Okay, and then you're going to scoot that until your edge of, or the corner reaches that blade line, that dotted line. When you're there and your edge is lined up on that 45-degree angle, okay, your other corner here should also be on that dotted line. Now I'm going to hold it there, push down, and come straight across. And now I have 2 equal triangles that I can easily put on the corners of my page, and a page can be done with just those corners and a couple of stickers and the mats for your photos. Okay, so that is how easy it is to make your triangles. You can do that with a lot of different colors, a lot of different size papers. You know, you can do a lot with those. So that is our 12-inch trimmer, but I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you how to make that frame. So if I have my paper, and let's just say I want to do a 5-inch mat. Okay, I'm going to cut my 5 inches. And then I want it to be 5 by, let's say 7. Okay, let's say I have a 5x7 theme on my page. Okay, now that probably is enough to make another triangle. Now I want to cut a center out of it. This is really good technique to know when you're doing Polaroids, because you never want to crop a Polaroid. So if you wanted to make a mat to go across a Polaroid, or you have something where maybe it's an older picture and you're doing heritage albums, and you don't want to really cut that picture, but you want to give it a mat to kind of enhance it, and you don't necessarily want the mat behind it. Maybe you want to cover up some of that deterioration that has happened in older albums. You can easily do that with this by cutting a square or rectangle outside of your mat, and then you've got this frame to go around something. It's also great if you want to just frame out a piece of your page, journal directly on your page, but you want to have a frame around it. This is a great way to do that. So what I'm going to do is, now I have this 5x7 piece. I want, let's say, an inch on each side, or let's do 1/2 inch. Okay, so I don't need my arm anymore. I can put that little leg down. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my 1/2 inch mark. Now your 1/2 inch mark is this first dark line here. Okay, so from your trim line to that line is a 1/2 inch. So everything that you're measuring, that probably doesn't look like an inch to you, right? That's not. That's 3/4 of an inch, because now it's going to your cut mark to here is 1 inch. Okay, so this dark line here is where your 1/2 inch mark is. So I'm going to line it up here, and then I'm going to say, okay, I don't like this because I can't see my whole quarter mark, right? My quarter mark is here and my edge of my paper is here. So what I'm going to do is actually line it up with one of my lines that are going this way, so that I can also see where my 1/2 inch mark this way is going to be. If you notice, going this way, they are 1/4 inch lines. Going this way, they are 1/2 inch lines. You'll see 2 and 3, and there's only one line in between. So these are your 1/2 inch marks. Okay, so I'm a 1/2 inch in this way, and I'm a 1/2 inch down from here so that I can measure that properly. What I'm going to do is wait till that white line on the side of my housing cartridge gets to the line where I want to start and stop cutting. I'm not going to push down until that line is there. So here is my white line even with my paper. Now I'm going to come down to that 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to push down. I already know I'm a 1/2 inch in here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to stay pushed down as I cut all the way until I get a 1/2 inch from the bottom. So when my white line matches here, that's when I'm going to lift up and stop cutting. Okay, now you can kind of see that it's made that cut right there in the middle. That's also great if you wanted to have something where maybe you were putting this on a card and you wanted a pocket, or maybe it's in your scrapbook and you want a pocket. You can easily do that with just one cut. Now you've got this pocket. If I'm going to do my frame, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to flip it around to the other side, line it up again with my lines so that I can find my 1/2 inch marks really easily. Okay, and then here's my white line, here's my edge of my paper. So now I know I need to go up one to that 1/2 inch mark, go until I reach the 1/2 inch mark from the edge of my paper here. And now I have 2 cuts. So I'm going to turn it and do the other edges as well. Okay, and again, I want my 1/2 inch from the insides of all 4 sides. Match up here, come down till I'm a 1/2 inch away from my paper, and do the other side. And then I will have my frame completed. Okay, and now the frame comes out. I have another mat, and then I have my frame that I can easily lay right on top of whatever I want to cover. Okay, so that's our 12-inch trimmer. So many possibilities with this thing. I love it. I use it all the time for all of these different techniques. The other trimmers will not take as long to go through because they don't do as much as our 12-inch trimmer. Now, the one thing I will say about our 12-inch trimmer, though, is that it is recommended to only use for cardstock and decorative paper. While it can cut your photos, it is not recommended for that. The reason is because your decorative photos, or your photos, sorry, they're thicker. Your photo paper is thicker, and it has this emulsion that they have on the ink of the photo that keeps that ink in there and from rubbing and you know, dissolving and all that stuff. That actually eats up these blades because these blades are so tiny. They are so thin. I don't know if you can see that, but they are really, really thin. And so it will eat up this mat, and it will eat up your blade and make it to where you have to replace it faster, and you'll have to replace your mats a lot faster if you actually cut your photos on here. So this 12-inch trimmer is really just for cardstock and decorative paper. So make sure that you're aware of that when you purchase this, that's what it's for. That said, let's go over our personal trimmer. The personal trimmer is really great for cutting your photos because it has that thicker blade that's not going to deteriorate from cutting your photos. And your photos are like the perfect size to cut on this. So you have your handle similar to like any big paper cutter that you've seen in libraries or anything like that, except this is just personal. This is just easy for you to use on a desktop. Take it on travel with you, you know, wherever you're at, you can use this because it's so small and portable. You can't see the lines really well for the measurements on the video, but when you're sitting here doing this, you can see them. They are raised and you can see them clearly. If they are not too clear for you, you can easily take a Sharpie marker or a label maker and put your numbers right up here above them, or just take your Sharpie and go over the numbers so that you can see those a little more clear. That's up to you. This has this little handle here, which is the guide for your finger to hold down your photo and keep your photo still as you bring the blade down. This is a much thicker blade. I don't know if you can see how thick the blade is. So much thicker than it was on those other little trimmer blades. The nice thing about this is not going to cut me. So if your child is using this, right, it's going to be safer for them. And it's all you do is put your photo in and figure out what you want to crop out of it. And so let's say that I want to crop out the edge of my dashboard from the car so that I just get the road and the scenery. Okay, so I'm going to cut just this off. I don't want to cut anything off of my picture. I mean, you might want to cut that off, you know, so you don't get the rail. That's your preference. And so what you're going to do is just put this in underneath this guide, okay? And then you're going to line it up to where you can take that off. For this one, I don't need to measure my photo because I just know I want to cut right there. Now, if I wanted to make sure that I was going to make a mat to go behind it, and I wanted that mat to be 1/4 inch on each side, then I would want to find out where that gets rid of this stuff, right? And so right here at the edge of your guide, you'll see where it's going to cut. And then I could say, okay, well, I want to make sure that it's on one of these little 1/4 inch increments so that I can then measure my mat that much bigger. Okay, but if I didn't have a mat behind this, this would not matter. So put your picture in, get it where you want it, hold this down. It's got like this little grid here for your finger grip. Okay, and then you're just going to gently push in the handle and come down. The reason you want to push in is sometimes this handle gets loose, and this way it'll give you the cleanest cut possible. You won't get little ragged edges. So very light pressure, and then as you hold it, you're just going to come straight down, and it cuts that part off. And now no more dashboard on your picture. Okay, so that is our personal trimmer, and it's really simple to use, but it does have a couple extra features that I want to go over. So it does have the grid here so that you can see those 1/4 inch marks. This one, unlike our 12 inch trimmer, has the 1/4 inches this way and also has the 1/4 inches this way. It is 5 inches out to the edge, and it is 7 inches down to this end. Okay. And it's really the end, like pretty much the end of your mat, because that's where this groove is here. So it's not going to let your picture go all the way to the edge. It'll only let it go here to this edge. Okay. But it also has a drawer that comes with it. And the reason I like this is that the drawer can hold several different things. So if I happen to be going and I have to wait for a little bit to pick up my child from, you know, a dance recital or a sports practice or school or some activity or, you know, a friend's house or something like that, right? While I'm sitting outside waiting for them to come out, I can sit there and be trimming. Or while I drop them off and I wait in the parking lot for them, I can be out here trimming my photos and doing different things to get ready so that when I get home, I can put my things in my scrapbook. Now, the drawer is not huge, right? It's just a small personal trimmer. It does have your rubber mats for feet. So when you're on a flat surface like a desk, it's not going to slip on you. The drawer does hold a lot. Even though it's small, it holds quite a bit. You could put your pictures in there that you plan on cutting. You could take the stack of pictures with you and fill it up with a few tools that you could use, and then go from there. So in your drawer, I have 2 of my small custom cutting system circle and oval. The reason I bring those is because this mat here, I can actually use as a normal cutting mat with my blades for those tools. I have all 3 blades so that I can cut my pictures. I don't have to just do squares. I can cut my pictures in circles and small ovals. I can cut mats if I have some paper with me. So that is great because this cutting mat is the same as our other cutting mats. It's a self-healing cutting mat, and you can use these small templates. Now, it won't hold the huge templates in here, but it will hold your small ones, which are enough to do on your pictures and your small mats. Okay, then I have my adhesive. So in case I wanted to take those pictures and put them directly on a mat that I'm cutting, I can go ahead and do that as well. I have some tape chips, so I wanted to use that in case I don't want to use my runner or I didn't bring my runner. I can put some tape chips in there. I also have my photo labeling pencil, which I can make notes on the back and say this is where this was, or make a caption or something I want to remember for when I go home and put it on my scrapbook page. I can write that on the back of here. I can use this to trace a template or trace something on the front so I can cut it with scissors. I could even put a pair of scissors in there if I wanted to. And then of course it's got a couple of punch pieces that I had from before that are in there. So it'll hold quite a bit. It's a small drawer, but it'll hold quite a bit. Then I wanted to show you, because we have some pictures that are like 5 by 7 and things like that, or even your 4 by 6, as you can see, your 6 inches goes off the personal trimmer. And so you can't really say, well, I want to make 5.5, right? Well, I have to kind of guess that. You can easily extend your trimmer by turning over your drawer and marking it. So what I have done here is I have marked this line here. Now I could go all the way, but this is where it kind of stays stable for me. So I marked this line here. This line here is what's going to match up with the edge of my trimmer. Then I've marked every 1/4 inch. Unfortunately, the squares that you see here are not 1 inch squares, and they're 3/4 inch squares. And so I've marked every 1/4 inch for myself to 6, every 1/4 inch to 7, and every 1/4 inch to 7 3/4 was as far as I could go. Now I could have put that line here if I wanted to and marked it all the way to 8, you know, so you do what works for you with what you normally cut. And then you're just going to put in your drawer upside down until that line matches up with the edge of your trimmer. Now I have just extended my trimmer to where I can say, okay, I want 5.5. Well, this is 5. So 5 1/4, 5.5. I put that out to that line. And now I know that I can cut my 5.5 inch mark. Okay. Now you do want to make sure, if you can see, this edge is lined up with my picture, but this edge is not. That is because my handle is coming down just a bit, and so I want to just push that up so that I can get that full edge of my picture up against that edge of my trimmer. And then you're going to come down with that blade, and now I've cut my 5.5 off. Now if your trimmer blade here gets a little dull, or it starts kind of making raggedy cuts when you're still pushing in and making sure that that gets a clean cut, if that happens, just take some tin foil and fold it up a couple of times, feed that through, and then cut that like every 1/4 inch and just make several different cuts with your tin foil, and that'll sharpen up your blade a little bit. Okay, so that's our personal trimmer. And it does have, I don't know if you saw, but it does have these little grooves in there, so it keeps your drawer from sliding all the way out unless you kind of pull it out. But you saw how easy it was to also pull it out. Okay, so that's our personal trimmer. Now the last of our trimmer, our 12-inch decorative trimmer, has a handle on it This is older, so I'm sorry it's a little bit stuck. Okay. It's not usually that hard to get off. But I have had this for like 20 years. So this is only going to go out to about 10 3/4. Okay, so you're not going to get the full 12 inches, but it is enough to do what you need to do, okay? So it only has these 2 different lines that you can cut, and this works really well with your, especially with decorative paper, but I use it for cardstock too, so if you have solid colors, that's totally acceptable. But when you do this, it's the same as your decorative blades on your 12-inch trimmer. You're going to cut, and then if you cut a straight edge again, you're going to have 2 borders automatically. Okay? And these little blades, you can see, hopefully, you can see the little blade coming out from your blades. These are different blades than your 12-inch trimmer. They are specific for the decorative trimmer. So whether you line up here or whether you line up over here, you've got your 1-inch mark here from this cut. You've got your 1-inch mark here from this cut. Okay, then you have other measurements. So this one you can see the 2 here, and this is the 3. So if you were cutting on this side, your 3 would really be your 1 inch from your cut. Okay, so I'm going to line it up to where I want a 1 inch of the more wavy one. So I'm going to line it up here on the 1 inch. Okay, that's going to give me a 1 inch cut here from the edge of my paper. To do it, it's the same way. You're going to take it from the edge, and it kind of locks here into place on the edge so that it's not sliding through as you move it. So you're going to push it out a little bit from that lock, and then you're going to push down and just follow the groove. Okay, that's it. And now you have this beautiful decorative cut for your border. Okay, now I can lay that on top of a different color blue. I can put that right on top of my paper. I can do another cut, maybe move the paper down here instead of up here and have it a little offset and layer them. You can do a lot of different things with this. Okay, and so I'm going to do the other side because I don't want 2 different kind of wave cuts on this one. But if I wanted to make, let's say, another one of these, I can go to where the edge of my cut is at my 1 inch again. Or if I wanted to make it 3 inches or whatever I wanted to do. Okay, and then I can do this again on that same one. And now I have this that I can do right in the middle of my page, or I can do it somewhere else, or I can cut these up and put them, you know, on a card, or I can kind of layer them like that, right? So there's lots of different things that you can do with this. And then if I put this one right at the edge of my trimmer here, that's at my 1 inch mark for this cut. And so here again, this one's locked in place. I'm going to scoop that out of my lock and then push and just very quickly go down the groove. Okay, and so you can see how quickly and easily that 12-inch decorative trimmer works. And you just have the 2 designs, and then these blades they come out, so there's little grooves. Hopefully you can see that. The little grooves here in your design is where if you line up this little tab back here, and you line it up right there with the edge of that groove. Is that right? Got it in there? Okay. And then you can just tip up from this arrow side. The arrow points to where your blade is. Okay. You just tip up from that side and it comes out. This is how you would replace those blades when they get dull. You can just buy replacement blades and then pop them back into the groove, slide them down to the locking position, and then that's it. So so here's how the blade looks. Okay. You can see that blade right there. And so these are sharp. They do come out. So just be aware of that if you're letting your kids scrapbook and card make with you, that you're aware that happens, that those blades are out on this one. And so if they're not usually someone who can just do that without hurting themselves, you might want to watch them a little closer. Okay, and then we're going to put that groove back in there and push it down, and now it slides just like it's supposed to. Okay, so those are our Creative Memories trimmers. There's a lot of different things you can do with them, as you saw. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like this video and want to see more of them, please hit like and subscribe, and have a scrap happy day.